President Trump says he's called off planned strikes against Iran, citing what he describes as the framework for a deal that would include the immediate, complete, and total reopening of the Hormuz Strait and an end to Iran's nuclear threat. He goes on to write, "I have agreed for the future benefit of the world and likewise the survival of a successful and prosperous Iran to cancel the attack, subject to being able to rapidly make a deal." For more on what this could mean for the region, let's bring in retired Brigadier General Mark Kimmitt, former Assistant Secretary of State for Political Military Affairs. General, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Sunday morning. Appreciate it. Okay, it feels like we've been here before. This routine of we have a deal, and then we don't have a deal, and then there's a threat of a strike, and then we pull it back. In your mind, is this war turning into a quagmire? The president believes that the U.S. has the upper hand and can eventually wear down Iran. This is what he said at Camp David. Listen to this.
On Iran, Mr. President, you said they do have some capabilities left. Should Americans be prepared for these back and forth attacks to continue until Iran simply isn't able of striking back?
They'll get weaker. They'll get a little stronger maybe now, but they'll get weaker and then they peter out. Yeah, sure. I think so. I mean, it would be foolish to say no. You know, you always have to keep your guard up.
What do you think it's going to take for a measurably different outcome this time, and how much does that depend on the Iranian people rising up again?
Well, first of all, I think we've got to understand we're sending two different messages to the Iranians. We have people that are saying, I think this is going to be over quickly, but you heard the president just then basically caution patience. And patience is what the Iranians are using against us. They hear about we don't like forever wars, we want to get out of this quickly, we want to get this done quickly. But that's not how you defeat the Iranians. You defeat the Iranians by going patience against patience. If you say we want to get this done quickly, they'll just strap in their seatbelts and say, we win by not losing. We can take the bombing, you'll leave, and we'll have what we want.
Is that practical this close to a midterm? It seems like the Iranians really know how to leverage the political discussion in this country against the decision makers.
I think they're taking advantage of it. Frankly, I don't think it's going to affect the midterms for the simple reason that nobody has changed their mind on President Trump since May 25 before we started the operations. That was decided then. So I think that President Trump is saying, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I'm going to deal with it. I'm not going to change. I'm a wartime leader. I'm going to make the decisions that are best for America's future, not my political future.
He has been consistent on the issue of Iran for very many years.
Decades.
Yeah. Separately, there's this reporting that Russia has been supplying Iran with intelligence to be able to strike U.S. troops. China reportedly supplying 400 man-pads, shoulder-fired rocket launchers. The president doesn't sound too concerned about either one. I talked to him in the Oval Office earlier this week. Listen here.
President Xi told you that China would not give or sell Iran any weapons. And there's a new report that Iran's about to get 400 rocket launchers from China going through Pakistan to Iran.
Well, that would be surprising. I mean, things like that happen, but that would be surprising. He told me very strongly he wouldn't partake, and he knows I'd be quite disappointed.
So the White House always reiterates that nothing any state does is going to make a difference in what the U.S. does. But at what point does this sort of stuff mandate a response from the U.S.?
Well, first of all, the Russians providing intelligence to Iran should be the least surprising intelligence finding of this entire Ukrainian war. We have been providing intelligence to the Ukrainians to kill Russians since 2022. So for the Russians now providing intelligence to the Iranians to attack Americans shouldn't surprise us at all. And I'm sure that they have accommodated that, our intelligence people. On the issue of China, look, what people don't realize is that China wants to prolong this war. Because the longer they can prolong the war, the more Patriots we fire, the more JASSMs we fire, the more rockets we fire. And every rocket that we fire is one that can't defend Taiwan. So they are highly motivated. I agree with the president. 400 shoulder-mounted, what we call man-pads. We can defeat those. That's a waste of their 400 man-pads. But it demonstrates that China wants to prolong this war.
There's one analysis from Rebecca Heinrich saying that, the president should give Taiwan these weapons that we've sort of suspended or delayed, because you would expect, if you're going to play ball with China on that request, that they wouldn't be arming our adversary during a hot war. But is that the ace card, and is now the time to play it?
The ace card, well, first of all, I respect Rebecca considerably. I think that's a low card. That's a 2 or a 3. We have other ways, but with our policy of strategic ambiguity, I don't think we should be talking about what we're prepared to do. The more we can be ambiguous to the Chinese, the better.
Okay. What about the stockpile concerns? There was new data this week showing the pre-war inventory of Patriots was 2,300, down to around 800 or so. THAAD inventories are now at about 250, down from 452. If a war broke out, a second front in the Red Sea, for instance, that the Saudis seem to be quite concerned about, or, with China, what kind of a position would the U.S. be in? How concerning is this?
Well, again, the Admiral Cooper at CENTCOM is going to get what he needs. The people that are most concerned about those stockpiles are the people that you're talking about. The Indo-PACOM commander, who is so dependent upon the stockpiles to support his war plans. But I think, as we saw with UAVs and Predators and intelligence assets during the Iraq-Iran war, you're going to the Iraq and the Afghanistan war, you're going to have those commanders competing against each other for either the present war or a future war. And in this case, the present war is what's winning right now.
With just a few seconds left, there was a warning, another one, to soldiers not to take videos in at bases when you're under fire, and some concern now that they're going to have to give their cell phones up because they didn't listen. How big of a deal is that to have U.S. troops, showing their location to the Iranians on places like Twitter?
No, it's a very big deal. I mean, the fact remains is those images can be geolocated, and if they're taking a picture next to one of the air defense systems